Last night I had watched all of Kimono and Friends, which is a very otaku-oriented show. A lot of what happens in that show is stuff that we can look at and say, this is something otaku identifies with. You know, cute girls, all of these trappings of moe anime. And thinking about this led me to think about my own identity as an otaku, and sort of how I think about myself in that sense, how I think about myself in relation to that label. And thinking about that label led me to think about labels as a whole, which sort of led me down this path of thinking, why do people dislike that label? Why do they dislike otaku, and why do they actively reject it? And I think this mindset just comes from wanting to abandon people's preconceptions of you, their preconceived notions. But you can never alleviate those. Like, even when you take away the label of otaku, you still watch anime. And, like, people who look at the word otaku, they see you as part of a collective. They see you as, okay, I'm going to judge you based on the fact that you're an otaku, based on the fact that you identify as this, and I'm going to judge you based on what the other members of your group does. They see you as a collective rather than an individual. But even when you take away that idea, even when you take away that label, people are still going to judge you for liking anime. Like, you're not an otaku, sure, but you still obsessively consume anime. The reason why we use labels is just to make quantifying things easier. Like, saying I'm an otaku is far easier than saying I obsessively consume anime, or I consume a lot of anime, or an even more specific version of this, I watch these genres of anime. That just takes too long to say. It's much easier to say I'm an otaku. And so even if you take the longer route, even if you take longer to explain yourself and say I like anime and I like these anime, etc., you're just saying a longer version of a simpler thing. Like, you could just use the simpler version, and the reason people do this is to curb people judging you as an otaku, judging you as your group. But even when you don't use that term, people are always going to have ideas about who you are. They're always going to have ideas about the things that you say, because everything we say is interpreted subjectively. It's interpreted based on our experience of things. Everybody does this. If you have certain experiences with otaku, that's going to lead you to think a certain way about them based on those experiences subjectively, and that is going to inform your actions towards otaku, because that's your experience, and so that's how you view the world. You can't view the world in a way that's any different from your experiences, because your experiences are the only thing that you know. And so, under this mindset, under this presupposition, we are able to surmise that the people who look at you as an anime fan, who see that you like anime, regardless of if you call yourself an anime fan or not, they are going to make judgments about you. They're going to see you as part of this collective, even if you don't join the collective, because humans are inherently collectivistic. We inherently ascribe ourselves to groups because humans are meant to be in groups. We work in groups. We're always in groups. And so, based on people's experiences with others, they are simply going to ascribe these labels to you, even if you don't ascribe the label to yourself. And so, you see what I'm saying here? People are going to view you a certain way, regardless of if you want them to or not. The best thing that you can do is explain yourself. Explain yourself to your best ability and say why these people's, understandings of you are incorrect, and try to come to an understanding through that. But don't get rid of all labels, because labels aren't the problem. The problem is people's misunderstandings and people looking at you based on their experiences with others rather than their experiences with you as an individual. Bring these things up. Talk about these things. Don't say, I'm not an otaku because people will look at me weird because they've looked at other otakus who are weird. That's stupid. That's bullshit. Don't do that. Stop acting retarded.